This is actually from the original social sensor fusion short paper / proposal that gave rise to conviction voting. And I don't know if people know this, but conviction voting was originally intended for continuous parametered variables, and that we shifted in a direction of focusing on passing proposals using trigger functions, because that was particularly what was needed in the sort of common stack one hive research cases. But the function was to sense the misalignment or alignment between some parameters in a measurement system or some parameters in a decision-making system, and allow people to propose those changes and to adapt those values over time by basically merging preferences. And the key aspect to this drawing is actually in this lower loop. You see stuff happens in the world, people observe or experience outcomes, and they have their own perceptions of it. And if they don't feel as though it's representative, they can express a preference into a system that can actually mutate those rules. Now, I'm not necessarily saying you need to use conviction voting for this, but the idea is that this process should take place. There should be a means of looking at the measurement apparatus, the choice of KPIs, the weights of those KPIs, the aggregations, the way in which you index activities and attribute them to individuals versus attribute them to the group, all have to be part of this policy constellation that ultimately steers your organization. And so that difficulty is that that's hard, even in a centralized setting, right? If I'm a executive and I have a team and I'm responsible for, say, looking at both the company's progress towards its stated goal and for assessing the untangling of the contributions of the individuals in order to reward and compensate them, I'm already solving what is effectively an untenable problem. There isn't an absolute objective answer. There is a lens through which I interpret the individual activities as some complex graph web thing, and that somehow that collection of activities that's interdependent gave rise to that, group level outcome. And so any attempt to decompose the collective outcome into individual contributions is going to be subjective, and therefore it is going to be an act of policymaking. And the trick here is to just get over that and then work together to come up with something that works, including a process for adapting that thing.